Tonight, we have some snippets of the 2025 WRL schedule. We have a very important date to tell you about in the APFL, and we got some new bells and whistles to show you on the new website. All of this and more in 20 seconds. Hey, fellow fanatics, welcome to the Fanatically Real broadcast, sponsored by Sport Management Solutions, your one-stop shop for all your athletic communication needs. If you're out there tonight, all three of you, say hello. We'll put you up on the screen and say hi right back to you. Should be a fairly quick show for you tonight. We're just doing some quick updates, but it depends on how long it gets whenever I decided to start showing you those bells and whistles on the website. Might take a little bit to get to it, though. We had a little bit of technical difficulties trying to get online tonight. It looks like that I have to go out and do a few things to my Google browser to be able to get us to the website, but we'll see how quickly we can get around all of that for you tonight. Grat's out there with us. Damien, how are you? We'll be in the Ohio area in about 3 weeks. If you're around, let me know. Erica is out there as well. Katie Bell with us. Jason, feels like I just talked to you a couple minutes ago. How are you? Hopefully it stays quiet for you at your house a little bit longer. All right, so let's start with the WRL schedule snippets that we mentioned at the top of the show. So last week we did the cat out there with us as well. Hello. Yeah, I agree. Hopefully for your sake, bud. Last week we did the doubleheader for the WRL. Of course, for those of you who watched, we had a little bit of a technical hiccup. But what we did learn last week is that week 12 is going to be the doubleheader week for the WRL this year. Tracy, how are you? So since we found out that week 12 was the doubleheader, Hanley with us as well. Hanley, how are you? I've been working really hard to make sure that all things that are schedule related have been updated not only on MFL, but on the new website that we've been working on. So before I talk about the WRL stuff, let me talk about the APFL stuff for just a second. So on Monday, I started working on a way to get the schedules that were already in MFL to display for the APFL teams on the new website. The point of that was to do API calls over to MFL, pull the data, and get it to display on the new website. It took some time, I think a little over 2 hours to get it done, but it's fully functional. And whenever I do get a chance to pull the website up here shortly, I will show you what that looks like for the APFL side. Again, the beautiful part of it is it's working off of API calls. So none of the data that is actually being pulled to make those schedules show up on our website are anywhere on our server. So we know that the API calls are progressing and getting better and better, or at least we're getting smarter with it. And we're really that much closer to being off of the MFL's website. So my next step was to try to tackle doing the same thing for the WRL. But I first needed to create the schedule. What I was trying to do was avoid having to go in and click and click and click and click to be able to get the WRL schedule put over on the MFL after we found out the doubleheader was week 12. I had already programmed. Is it moving a little bit? Okay, thank you for that. I appreciate it. I know you're big on that stuff. Yes, it is sitting on the monitor. It's funny you say that because I'm actually thinking about possibly rearranging the man cave again here shortly. You know how well that's going to go over. But I am thinking about doing it, and there's a very good possibility to be pushed up against the wall, so maybe a little bit more stable and it won't shake as much then. But I had already programmed a page in the FSA admin page, which is part of our website, to build the schedules for me. Basically, that thing that I showed you, I think it was last week, where the chart shows like A1 versus whatever, where A, B, and C were each one of the divisions, and then 1, 2, 3, and 4 were each one of the teams inside that division, where I had already hard-coded who was going to play who in what weeks. That was already that set schedule that I said that was similar to where we used to do 4, 5, and 8, and then 11, 12, and 14, which I think now is 3, 4, and 7. and I want to say it's 11, 13, 14, I think now. And then, of course, we are backing up 1 week because of the doubleheader week. Anna, how are you? I see you out there. So that chart that you saw last week, that was already built. So what I ended up doing was going into, with some help with some AI, taking that hard-coded chart, and I said, can you create me a schedule that will give me a preview of week by week or team by team schedules? And I already had that function and operational. But what I wanted to do was go out on MFL and find out if there was a way to bulk upload the schedule, because I didn't want to go through and click 336 games, because that's what it ends up being. And not only is it 336 games, it's 672 clicks, because I have to go through and scroll through all 48 teams that are in this list and make sure I grab the right one and have to do that. MFL is not smart enough to recognize what region I'm in, what division I'm in, to narrow that list down. So it's always 48. So it takes some time. So after working on it for about 4 hours with AI, I had it mostly working with a few bugs. That was, again, on Monday I started doing that. So Tuesday I woke up, I worked on it for about 2 more hours, and I got it working. So 4 and 2, on the higher side, it ends up being about 7 hours worth of work. Once that 7 hours worth of work was done, though, to get everything to actually function, get the bulk upload file to be able to go over to MFL, was only like 40 minutes of work. Had I done the 336 games, the 672 clicks that I needed to do, it had taken me roughly 28 hours to do that. And now I can do it all in like 40 minutes. So if you go to MFL and you look at either your WRL or your APFL schedule for your team, they are all there now for 2025. So I want to show you at least the week 1 graphics for the WRL since I created them. So let me pull that screen back up for everybody. So here is the week 1 schedule for the Loch Ness region. One of the things that you're going to notice in this region and one other is that no image available. We have 2 teams that we still need to work on branding for. That is Patrick Smith, and the other one is Justin Hernandez. I need to get a hold of both of you so we can start working on your brands, so we can replace that and put a real team name in there everywhere in every database, whether it's on the FSA admin or database or MFL's database. That stuff has no images and just has your guys' names on there. So we need to make sure that we get those done. Here is the week 1 for the Red Dragons region. Again, there's the Justin Hernandez one. Here is your region 3, which is the Cerberus region. And then here is your region 4, which is the Krakens region. So hopefully you guys like those graphics a little bit. So only got 1 or 2 more slides to show you before the end of the show. Pretty much diarrhea of the mouth for the rest of the show, so I hope you're ready for it. It's so funny. I actually said earlier before we got on the show, giving everybody a little sneak peek for those who that were online that wanted to see their team schedules, which individual team schedules in the WRL, which I have now created as well. I said, hey, if you're around, hit me with a DM and I'll show you a surprise. And I said, don't tell anybody. I'm telling you the 11 of you that are out there right now. And that broken image link or the no image available came up from one of the guys. And he says, oh, I got to watch out for that Falling Mountain. And I think it was week 11 that they were playing them. So it's funny that you say that. Maybe that's a new name change for you, Jay. Maybe we'll go away from the aliens to the cavalry, and now you can be the no image available. Thank you. I appreciate it. So I wish I could tell you everything that went into it, but I'm going to keep that a little bit more quiet till we get a little bit further along with them, and then I kind of reveal. Thanks, Eric. I appreciate it. What we're going to do with those things. So one of the things, and we're going to talk about the APFL date that I mentioned at the top of the show as well, and there's something that goes along with that that I'm going to talk about here for a second too. So one of the things that I did back in 2015 was I put together myself an operational calendar, and I hadn't done that for many years, a decade now at this point. Thanks, Hanley. I appreciate it, brother. So what I decided to start doing was put together an operational calendar for 2025 with the intention of trying to figure out when I could start doing more social media posts more than anything. Because I've been pretty weak at doing that. And now that I've got my basically virtual assistant helping me out with everything and getting me through the day and scheduling me for things and stuff like that, I decided to figure out a way where I could get a true no BS scheduled. Here's the date, time, the social media that you should put this particular thing out on and what that particular thing should be. But that thing turned into something even better. So it's going to help us stay on target in the off season. When I say we, that's me and the director of the NFC and the APFL. It's going to help us stay more up to date on things in the off season, things that we routinely do in the off season that we kind of forget about and kind of wing it. This will give everybody here's what's coming up, and we will be able to give you at least a month by month off season calendar for everybody. One of the things that it is doing for us is that the APFL important date that I mentioned. So roster cut day for the APFL, big important day for us in the league. So as I was going through and building this the other day, I was able to get out on the NFL's operational calendar and find out that they will be cutting their rosters to 53 on Tuesday, August 26th. So mark that down, August 26th. My sister Betsy, if you're out there, that's your birthday. Happy birthday. The very next day, August 27th, which is a Wednesday, we will need to cut our APFL rosters down to 18, and that's got to be done by 8:30. Works out perfect that it falls on a Wednesday for us to get that done and by 8:30 so we can talk about it as a topic on the 27th of August here on the broadcast. So if you're an APFL member and you're watching this right now, remember, I will put a calendar together for everybody as well and put it out there. But 27 August, 8:30 p.m. East Coast time, roster cuts down to 18. A couple other important dates, but more of a range of dates, not an exact date. Something Paul mentioned earlier, and I said we were going to talk about it on the show tonight, was the draft order broadcast or draft order shows. So those are probably going to happen somewhere between 15 July and 20 July. So I will be coming back from Ohio to celebrate with my family my 50th birthday, my stepdad's 75th birthday, so a couple milestone birthdays for us. Be back here, and that is going to be like locked in go time for the rest of the year. We'll get the draft order shows done, and then we will also start having our drafts as well, which we will schedule with the regions inside Discord to get that done. But we will not have a draft any sooner than the Hall of Fame game for the NFL, which actually happens on 31 July this year. So you don't have to worry about any drafts happening until we hit at least 1 August. If I had to look at previous season schedules and kind of put together a range of dates for when the drafts might happen, I would say anywhere between 13 August and 31 August. Gives a pretty good range of days that we can put together. Gives us middle of the weeks, weekends, whatever it is, for a while to get those done. Jason calls me an old man, yet he was the old man that turned 50 in November last year that I got a chance to go up to Ohio for. Good part is I get to have Jason at my 50th as well, so that makes me feel really, really good. All right, so let's see if we can get these website updates going for you all. Let me pull over a separate screen over here. Of course, like I said, my my page decided, or my here's what happened. Audio wasn't working on my stuff for whatever reason just before I went live. I ended up having to restart the computer. When I restarted the computer, the browser set to some crazy default that I hate. So it doesn't have all of my bookmarks. So now I have to try to go in and remember URLs off the top of my head to see if I can get this stuff to work or not. So give me just a second, and I will get us there for the stuff that I want to show you, the new bells and whistles on the website, if you haven't seen them yet. I've got it up. I just got to get the right screen being shared for you all. All right, here we go. So here is the website. Let me get my face off the screen so you can see it. For those of you who have not seen the new website, there it is. New website. Basically, it's the website that's in the background of the current website that everybody else can see. As we're trying to build through all of these things, the API calls and all of the other stuff that I mentioned over the last show and this show that we are trying to make happen. This is where it's all happening. So whenever it is time to launch this, everybody will get it. This will already be full of information for everybody. It basically be like switching the old one off and the new one on, and it'll look like we've been there forever because we're putting so much work in on this one. So one of the things that I really, really wanted to show everybody that I've been working hard on is this all-time records. This is a historical documentation for us that is going to show every head-to-head matchup of every game of every league type that we've had in the FSA since the beginning of time and our first successful season in 1995. Jason was a part of that year. He knows exactly what I'm talking about. Oldest living member with us still. So all-time records, you go in here, and as you can see, you have 3 tabs across here. These are the different leagues that are currently active, the APBL, the APFL, and the WRL, baseball, football. What you can do, and I'll show you because Jason's on here right now, we can go to the WRL, and we can click on my team. My team back then was called the Nightbreed before I switched it over to the Monarchs. So what we're going to do is we're going to scroll down here and find the Nightbreed. Here's my team right here. It shows my overall record of all time of 154, 116, and 3. You're able to click on any of these teams, and it shows where's your game. It shows the same lifetime record here, win-loss percentage, or your percentage of all time, your playoff records, how many championship games you've been in, how many championships you've actually won, seasons and total points. All of this is just FSA data that's there. This will show a breakdown of your wins and losses for every season. So it shows the most recent at the top, the oldest one at the bottom, this being the 1995 season, our first successful season. This color chart shows you the ones that you won, that's in green, the ones that you lost in red, and the ones that you tied. Yes, we have ties in FSA every once in a while in yellow. And then also in 2010, when we had the crazy all-play season, that's right here. You want to know more about that, reach out to us. We'll explain it to you. But the cool part is let's go back to the 2013 season, which is the last one that I've got inputted in here for the WRL so far. You can click on here where it says view games, and it will show you your actual head-to-head matchups, if you won or lost, and what the score was in that game. And then even better than that, and a couple little icons I want to show you here. And since I've never won a championship, all you get to see is these little runner-up ribbons on mine. But if you are a champion in the FSA, you have this little trophy that shows up there in that spot instead. So that's kind of a neat little thing that's on there. And then view head-to-head records. So if I click on this and I go view to head-to-head records, and since we're talking about Jason, and Jason's on here right now, and I go to Aliens, and that is his team. He's had a couple of different names throughout the years, but Aliens is what we've settled on for him for the purposes of the historical documentation until he switches over to the Calvary. I am at 11-2 against Jason lifetime up to 2013. You literally can click on this, and it'll show the Nightbreed versus the Aliens. It'll show the average score against each other, the biggest win, the worst loss, the current streak against each other. It'll show where the wins and losses were at, and it'll show the lifetime record against him along with year, week, and what the score was in the result. So you can do that for every team. Something that we really like using right now, and I use to help write stories for the APBL, the baseball league, is you can click on the APBL, and let's do myself, the Cincinnati Reds. You see the same type of thing that's here. And let's view my head-to-head records. And since Jason plays in this league as well, we'll look at Jason. I'm 3-0 against Jason as the Cleveland Guardians. And then it'll show, it's a little bit hard to read because we're still working on the font designations and colors and stuff like that, but it's all here. And it shows all of that. So all of that is in the all-time records part of the new website. So that's one of the things that I wanted to show everybody. One of the things that I didn't mention was the schedules. So what I want to do is I want to show the schedule being worked on the APFL because that was the first one that we did end up creating. So here's my actual team page for the New York Wings of the APFL. As you can see, the schedule is over here on the right-hand side and scrollable. This schedule is the schedule that is being pulled from MFL's website with an API call. None of this data actually sits on our server. So that's what's really cool about this. And then Finally got it working, but took a little bit longer to be able to do it for the WRL. Could do the same thing with my team's Monarchs over here. Jason, I play you in week 2 since we are now in the same region. But it is a scrollable schedule there as well. Let me switch back over to the APFL because we have a couple other bells and whistles on there that I've been working on. The look of these is going to change as we get either closer to this season or through the season, as we're using 2025 as the test season, and 2026 is the full speed ahead, all hands on deck. Hey, let's get this thing going for 2026. First thing I want to show you is the rosters page. This is a live document, which is also being pulled as an API call from MFL. So if any of the APFL teams were to go out there and make a roster move right now, it would be automatically reflective on this page. We've got it set where it defaults to the AFC. And then if you click on the NFC button, it will switch over to the NFC. If you happen to be one of those people that likes the light mode of the website instead of the dark mode, come up here in this corner and just hit that little switch and it'll switch back and forth for you. So I want to show those. This one's not as big of a deal because it doesn't actually show the draft results. But what it does show was the draft order that we had this year. It was something that I worked on while we were getting ready for the draft. It came together fairly quick. So wanted to show that because it was there. And then one of the other things, and probably is the coolest thing, is all of these things that we're showing you right now are things that are getting pulled by API calls from MFL. What I wanted to be able to do is make sure that we could pull, manipulate data, and then repost. And the thing that is the most important for us in a fantasy sports world of doing that is being able to submit your lineup. You can go in here and submit your lineup. Oh, I have to go in and I have to log in as hopefully you guys can't see this. And that's good because it would be very bad if somebody could go in there and do this for you. But let me go back in there and do that again. Let me see. I got to remember how I do this now. Do this, and I should be able to do it from here. There we go. Submit lineup. Should work now that I'm logged in. A very cool feature to have, I guess, at this point. Wasn't expecting that to happen that way, but this is so nobody else can log into your page and set your lineup for you. But doesn't look like much right now. But let's say I'm getting ready to set my lineup for week 1. All right. And right now I want to start Malik Willis, Zeke. We'll go with Devontae Adams, Tyler Lockett. Tight end, I want to go with Tyler Conklin. As you can see, when I'm doing these drop downs, only the players that are in those positions and that are on your roster show up. In your flex positions, which can be wide receiver, tight end, or running back, can be any of these things. I'm going to throw in Zamir White and we'll put in Terrence Ferguson. Okay. And then you hit submit lineup. Tiki Barber, Jason says. Once you hit submit lineup, and this server must be a little slow tonight because it doesn't normally take this long. It will show your current lineup going for week 1 with pictures. And then underneath that, it will show who your bench players are for each one of the spots. Now, if you're wondering why there's no pictures there, these are the rookies that don't have pictures yet. And then we also have to get those, be able to push over on our database as well. So once you hit that submit lineup, it literally changes everything on MFL. So, of course, I can't show it to you because all of my things got screwed up here. Oh, it popped right up. Awesome. So if I go in and I do submit lineup now, and I'm doing it under the commissioners thing, you can see Malik Willis, Ezekiel Elliott, Zamir White, Devontae Adams, Tyler Lockett, and the 2 tight ends I picked. So what I ended up pushing just now changed the actual physical MFL website. That will be a very good thing to figure out, Jay. I will see what I can do about that so you can see your opponent's lineup. Now, here's the problem with that. There is a setting on MFL that says that you cannot see your opponent's lineup until after the games have started. We don't check that block on ours. That way you can always see your opponent's lineup if they make changes to it. But I don't know what that will look like for an API call to be able to get that pulled over. If I can make that work, great. Because what I would like to do, and I'm glad you brought that up, it's a good talking point. For those of who played the NFL Playoff Challenge with us over the years that we did it before the NFL closed it down, the lineup that you would see there with your players across, similar to what we just had, I want that on a row, and then your opponent's lineup on a row right below it. And then you would see on the far left-hand side a cumulative point total so far for the week. And then you would be able to click on what we call a card for the player that would flip over or give the appearance that it's flipping over, and it would show their stats for the game on that. That's how I would like ours to display. I always thought the NFL Playoff Challenge, having that was awesome. It was a great look. I don't know if it's so graphic intense, which is why they don't do it through their NFL.com fantasy football as a thing. But I always said if FSA made it, that's what I wanted ours to look like. And now that we're that much closer to having the ability to be able to do it, that's what I want ours to look like as well. Let's see. I would also like to see my roster on the main page for my team. Okay. So you want it right there on that page instead of having to click on the roster button itself and not do a drop down. Okay. I will work on doing some of those things and adding those to the pages. There will be space for it. Based on what's going to be below your team page, because there's a couple, I didn't scroll down on your franchise page. So there's a couple items that are down there that haven't been filled yet, but will be filled with API calls as well. One of them being the final scores and the other one being the standings. And then line up on the main page would be nice. Okay. So these are all things that I really need the feedback for. Like I said, we're trying to get as much as it built in 2025, get everybody's feedback, because once we get the API calls, as far as the way we want it to look, that's completely on us at that point. We just have to manipulate it enough to be able to get it to look a certain way. And then hopefully we can spend the 2025 season doing that, 2025 off season, and be ready to launch all of this for 2026. We're pushing 30 minutes now. My throat's getting a little dry. My glass is empty. So we're going to get off of here. So I wanted to wrap up and tell everybody what we talked about tonight. The schedules for the WRL are done. They're published. We found a way to save ourselves lots and lots of work in the off season, like literally between the 9+ hours that I worked over the last 3 days is going to save me 60+ hours in every season from here on out. So that's going to be awesome. We are a couple of weeks away from the draft order shows. Like I said, somewhere probably between the 15th and some date, 15th and 20th, we'll do the draft order shows. About 2 months away from the APFL roster cuts. In fact, we are 32 days away from that because of the extra day in July. I'm going to continue working on the website. All of these suggestions that you guys are giving me, I will start working on those and try to make those better. And that is it. Next show for us is going to be the 7th inning stretch on Friday night. I did not look at first pitch time to find out if we are going to do a 7:15 p.m. show or not, but I will let you know on Discord. It'll either be 7:05, 7:10, or 7:15, whatever first pitch is East Coast time. We will do that. For that show, we will have the Week 12 highlights and the scoring updates for Week 13. The next football broadcast will be on 2 July, as long as we have something to talk about. If we don't, we might wait until the 9th of July. We'll let you know. And that is it for the show. I done screwed up here somewhere. I got to figure out where all my stuff is at because I got something important to show you. Daggone. That's not what you want to see. Shoot. All this technology that I was able to get through over the last couple of days, and now I'm having all of these problems. This is what I want to show you. This right here, because I want to thank our sponsors. I want to thank Sport Management Solutions, our title sponsor. I want to thank the Recast, who are the official music of the FSA. If you liked tonight's show, even with the tongue tie or whatever it was that Hanley said, and my little screw up right there and having some issues with the website because of having to restart the computer, If you liked the show tonight, please make sure you go out, like, subscribe, follow us on all of our social media outlets. We kind of took a break for a while from Twitter/X, whatever you want to call it, to the point where our account actually got canceled. We started it back up, but we haven't done a big push on it. With all of this automation that I'm getting done and the virtual assistant stuff like that, and the social media is becoming more of a thing. Please go out and follow us on Twitter/X if you are a person who is on there, or you follow us on any other social medias. Please go over and follow us on Twitter/X. Now that we're back, we only have 9 followers. Before we closed it down, we had 400, 500, 600 or something like that. I would like to get it back up there again. If you see anything come across, make sure you retweet it for us. If you are a league member, you're out there watching it right now, I would appreciate it if you reached out to your communities and gave us a shout out and tagged us. As you can see it's at iPlayFSA on X/Twitter. We would really appreciate it. We'd like to build that community back up again. So if you could do that for us, we would really appreciate it. 31 minutes. Let's get out of here. If you want to hit me up with any questions or ideas for the website, or if you want me to show you any of the website that you want to go through a little bit more thorough and like that, hit me up on Discord. We will see you on Friday night for the 7th inning stretch. You all have a great Wednesday night.